Welcome to It's a Woman's World, a show which discusses any and all topics under the sun from a woman's point of view. Moderating today's episode is Nadia Giordana.
Welcome to the show. I'm Nadia Giordana. Co-hosting with me today is Junita Flowers.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How about you, Junita?
Good to see you.
Good. And we have an interesting guest today, Gwen Marty. Gwen is a career woman. She's the mother of 2 teens. She juggles multiple streams of income. And if you look closely, you might catch a glimpse of the superhero cape in the back there behind her.
Where is it?
And just recently, she landed a role in, a starring role, along with 4 other Midwestern women in a documentary reality style TV show that was aired all through the Midwest here called Hockey Moms. Gwen, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us how you landed that role on a TV show like that.
Well, it was very interesting. I heard about the auditions. They said you can send in a submission for this show called Hockey Moms. And right away I was like, oh, that's so me. I want to do it. I want to do it so bad.
And yet you hadn't ever done any other TV or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, okay.
But then I just kind of pushed it aside, like how could I ever do anything else in my life? And then when it went on Facebook, all of a sudden everybody was like, Gwen, this is so you have to do it. And finally I sat down with the kids and I said, do you think I should send in our submission papers for this? They're like, yeah, do it. And I'm like, you don't understand what this means. So the procrastinator that I am, it was probably 11 p.m. on a Friday night, and the submission deadline cutoff was midnight. And I sat down and just started answering questions. And I was like trying to almost sabotage it by I wasn't checking spelling, just answering all their questions. And I thought, I'll just send it out there and let God decide, let the universe decide if this is for me. And at the very end of the submission paper, it said, the very last thing said, send a 2 to 3 minute skit of you and your family. I'm like, what? It was homecoming football night. My kids are at homecoming at the football game. You know, I can't get a skit by midnight. So I went to my trusty phone and I found a video of me serving a beer backwards at the Maple Island Brewing, which was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life. It was dripping down my face, but I did it, and somebody took my phone and I said, this is all I have, but this tells a lot about my personality, and that was it.
So Gwen, can you tell us a little about the premise of the show? What is it about? Who are the families? What was kind of the dynamic? What was this show? What captures this show? What theme? What ideas? I want to know more about it.
Okay, the show Hockey Moms was intended to focus on one mom, one family with hockey as their life. And as I understand, like 440 people auditioned or submitted submission forms. About 27 families actually auditioned. And so the whole idea is to follow in a docu-series, which is reality TV, but without scripting anything, follow the life of a busy family, mainly the mother, with children in hockey. And what they ended up finding is they had such a variety of interesting moms that they were attached to. One mom has 5 kids in hockey with a newborn baby on the hip, like literally newborn. 5 kids in hockey.
Wow.
I have 1, and her and her husband own a couple of businesses. Another mother is married to a professional hockey player and has a real strong love-hate relationship with it, and he wants their 2 boys in hockey because he's a hockey player, and she's all through college just resenting this hockey life. And then another family who is having trouble getting their son into the hockey association, and then there's me. Single mom, 1 kid in hockey, taking him to the wrong ice rink, can't remember the games, don't know how the game works. I get there and all the mothers know the rules and I'm just kind of playing along. And so, just a totally different lifestyle. And so, I think they did a really nice job of following 4 women with completely different personalities and completely different lifestyles, but all with love of their children. Because of our children, we love the game of hockey.
So I grew up in Minnesota, and I know Minnesota is the state of hockey. And I know when you get your kids in sports, there's all kinds of unwritten rules. There's sort of this culture that goes with a particular sport.
Right.
What is sort of that vibe or the culture of being a hockey mom or a hockey family?
Well, see, that goes back to the program and how different it is for everybody. Now, the people that are really married to hockey, it truly is their life. They're watching hockey every night at home. Their kids get out of practice, and they're going home and going in the basement and shooting pucks for 2 hours. I can't honestly say that's the way our lifestyle is. For me, my boy was newer in hockey. So he didn't start at 2 years old. He's 15, and he started only 3 years ago. And he was skating on his ankles the first practice. And I was fighting tears. And I'm like, I so don't want to do this. I don't fit in. And all the parents knew each other, and I didn't know them. And I literally was standing there at the, fighting tears going, this is not going to work. But he was so passionate about it. And every night on his iPad, he'd watch hockey for hours. And he'd watch plays and watch them replay. And he actually passed up in the next 2 seasons later, jumped a level over his peers that were playing since they were little. So I don't know if I answered your question at all, but the culture is fun. It's a lot of fun, and parents take it very seriously, but I will tell you right now, between dance, hockey, and some of the other sports that I've been introduced to with my children, hockey parents are fun. They are all about how much fun can we have. And they're just truly, truly fun. And maybe it's just Stillwater parents. I don't think so, because I've talked to other parents that said, we got sucked in. And one of my friends in real estate said, you will find a whole new family in hockey. And I was like, I don't need another family. I don't need more friends. I don't need any of this. And I don't need a hockey schedule in my life. And she's like, just wait. And at the end of the first season, you're like, it's over. I'm going to miss you guys. So we're getting together all summer, the parents. And every year you're with a new set of parents. So you're getting to know them. And it's the same thing. By halfway through the season, you're bonding. And it's really quite powerful.
It was fun. I watched almost all of the episodes. I missed a couple of them, so I hope there are reruns, but I watched almost all the episodes. And when it first came on, because I know you, Gwen, I know you off screen, that's why I started watching the show, because I also have no interest in hockey, and I don't have kids that age, but I thought, I gotta see Gwen in this show. Well, I started watching, and it wasn't just your story I got interested in. It was the stories of all those other moms, their kids, their families. And you're right, you don't really have to have that much of an interest in hockey to enjoy that program, because it's the family stories.
Right.
And it was just captivating.
Yeah, absolutely. And because, all of our kids are in a different school district, I have to commend Macaulay Lee Entertainment and the production crew there. It is not easy to get cameras into a public setting with teens and kids all over. So there's a lot of hoops that had to be jumped through. So we had to really tell our story, 90% of it off the rink. And so it was preparing for hockey. It was, did you do your homework? It was getting the call from the vice principal, Truman acted up in school again. And my daughter tearing her ACL in dance. And I have 5 income streams to try to make ends meet, and, arguing with the kid's dad and who's going to drive him to, So they were able to capture what is real life. And when they said, we're coming with the cameras, what's going on in your life? Well, I'm making dinner. I'm probably going to run this or run that errand, and I would always just let it play out. And if I had something I was going to talk to the kids about, they didn't know, I waited till the cameras were right there, and I'd say, tell me what this is all about. Where were you in 5th hour today?
That's what makes it so real.
Yeah.
Was there anything that you found maybe different, eye-opening, when you actually watched yourself on camera as opposed to being there and being filmed? Or did you watch yourself?
Yeah, I watched every week, just like everybody else. I would just wait, and honestly, because I knew what was in my portion, and it was usually about produced 2 weeks earlier than what was aired. But I was so anxious to see what the other mothers were like, and what does their kitchen look like? Because everybody was in their kitchen. I'm like, oh, she's got a nice kitchen. But the question I get asked a lot is, what was the most surprising to you? And oddly, I think the most surprising part for me was how easy or how comfortable I felt. I never felt that that piece of plastic on a stick with a lens was an elephant in the room. Just like I don't right now. I can be completely myself. Some people get really stage fright, and I talked to the kids about it. I said, think of it as the lamp on the counter. Just be yourself. And my daughter has a lot of attitude, and she had no problem being herself. Watching it back, it's very hard not to judge and criticize yourself, and I'm sure all the moms did do that of themselves. We're human. You know, I'm looking at these lines, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, you know, I'm not 33 anymore. And but overall, I was impressed. I was impressed with everybody, and when I just met the hockey families 2-3 weeks ago for the first time. We didn't know each other.
So you never filmed
No.
any of the scenes together?
Every family was separate. And so we had a big meeting, and the announcer that did the voiceover, you know, the announcing at the beginning of the show, we all met for the first time. And the other hockey moms would come in, and I was like, oh, you look just like you do on TV. And I sounded like a little, like I was starstruck with them, and they're like, you look the same too. And I'm like, I don't know why I felt you guys were going to look different in real life.
You do think that.
Yeah. So it was really, really, really exciting, but nothing struck me as weird. And I said to many of my close friends, I said, I don't know if this is one of those karma things or past life, or I don't know what category you'd put it into, but the whole time we were doing it, I felt like I had done it before. I felt like it was I had already lived it.
It felt natural.
It felt
enough
really
to feel like
natural,
you'd done it
and I
before,
don't
yeah.
know why that is, but I'm really glad that everybody in Minnesota enjoyed it, because it was good.
So
It
for them to
was.
do a reality show on, or sort of a docu-series on hockey moms, and hockey being so big in Minnesota, what were they trying to shed the light on about hockey families or hockey moms, or what were they trying to, what message were they trying to get across to the public, because they're highlighting this sport? I know there's tons of perceptions about it. It's an expensive sport. It's an intense sport. If you don't start at 2, you'll never play. What
Right.
was the purpose of it?
Well, the purpose was really to show what the life of a hockey mom is really like, and it's different for all of us. And so my story had did and had a lot of financial struggles, which was the premise of the chaos, the money. You're adding more into the life. There was a couple other families that doesn't even enter the equation. It is not a financial thing at all. It was more, you know, the desire to have success in the field of hockey, you know. So I think the intention of the producers was just to really honestly portray what it's like. I mean, I guess I don't know how else to describe it, but I think that they originally thought they had an idea of what it was like. Okay, hockey's expensive, it's fast-paced, it's stressful on families, there's all this equipment, it stinks, and I think there was a premise, but once they met 4 such diverse, different families and parents, the only common thing we had was that we were mothers with a child in hockey, boy or girl. There was nothing else really the same, except that we loved hockey because our kids loved hockey.
And it's a Minnesota production company, as I understand. So I think there was probably a strong interest in showing something with a program like this that shows Minnesota.
Yeah, definitely. John McCauley, he was a hockey player in college, and so they all come from the hockey lifestyle. And I think we would have probably liked to have had more. It was a 30-minute show on Channel 45, and 60 minutes would have given us more time to actually show more time on the ice and get to know the players on the teams a little bit better. But
I would agree with that. I would watch the shows, and especially the first show. I was expecting 60 minutes. I thought, oh, it's over already.
I know, it went so fast.
It went too fast. An hour would have been much better.
So 4 families, 22 minutes after commercials, we each had, you know, 6, 7, 8 minutes total. So it wasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
But it made for filming easy. I mean, they shot for a couple hours, and we could make a couple of shows out of that.
And there's no word yet if there's a second season or not.
I hope so.
I do
Write
too.
to Channel 45. Tell them yes. Tell somebody yes. Go to the web page, Facebook page,
Well,
Hockey
the Facebook
Moms.
page would be a great place to say, I love that show.
Yes,
Is it coming back?
please, because We're hoping that it goes into syndication and that somebody else would pick it up. We're so close to Canada, you know, which is also the hockey mecca of the world. And I've had so many compliments. The people that maybe didn't compliment the show have been polite enough not to let me know, because everywhere I go, I have somebody. I mean, I have been at the XL Center and had somebody stop and say, "Were you on that show, Hockey Moms?"
Oh, really?
You were on Hockey Moms. And my son gets it all the time. 14-year-old boy.
And how
girls.
were the kids that were highlighted in the show from the different families? Were there a lot of emotion with the sport of hockey? Were they all just, you know, these star up-and-coming hockey players? Were there kids that were struggling with the sport and maybe didn't stick with it? Tell me a little about
above.
okay.
All of the above. So my son just head over heels committed and just wanted to be there all the time. There was a family with a son who was actually booted out of his
I felt for him.
I know.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
so
so-
he was put off the team? Like, was it a tryout?
At a different, no, the parents, there was some issues between
Okay.
the association and the parents in a small town just across the river in Wisconsin. And so apparently the issue with the parents was large enough to keep the son out of the association, and he couldn't play. One of the families has 2 little boys, so they are really quite tiny and just like 4-ish. So they were just sweet and cute as can be. And then the family with 5 kids in hockey, there's 2 daughters. I think they were twins.
That's unfathomable. You could outfit that many kids and keep track of everything.
We have 1 hockey bag, and it takes up this. Our hockey equipment for 1 child would take up every inch of this whole counter. Every inch, and it would be as deep as this. It's a bag, it's sticks, it's 2 pair of skates, it's, I need my skates sharpened, my laces broke, the breezers stink, and you know, I have everything spread out in the garage. I couldn't even park in the garage because I had to spread everything out and air it out between games, and then I'm thinking of them. 5 kids. Only one of them really needed help getting dressed. They were all the older, and 2 of them are girls, so. And girls are good at hockey. They are good.
Yeah.
My son's playing 3-on-3 all summer, and a lot of times they'll play 3 against 3 girls, like from Hill Murray or something. They go in just panic-stricken. These girls just blow them away.
Wow.
So it's not just a boys' sport.
Right. I mean, I'm hearing more and more
Yeah.
girls that are taking the ice, and they're doing quite well on the ice.
And they really need to be so muscular, like a gymnast. You know, that lower body strength in your thighs and butt. They are strong girls.
On that note, and I do hope you have a second season, so we'll be talking about that maybe later on if we find out about that. We have
Yes, to a second season. Yes, yes, yes. Anybody want to support a second season? Let us know, Channel 45, Macaulay Lee Entertainment. We need supporters.
we have a surprise question.
Oh, God.
And it's not a question for you, but
Okay.
you're to join us in the discussion. This is a surprise question that our producer occasionally presents us with. I don't know what's in here. You don't know what's in here. Junita doesn't know what's in here.
So it's
And sometimes it's something that stumps us. So
it's just a general surprise question that we're
General-
to
A
discuss.
discussion question.
Okay.
Yes.
kind of like impromptu, what do they call that?
Yeah, I used to do that comedy, the improv comedy.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. All children need a certain amount of discipline and guidance. But when does too much discipline become abusive, and when does too little become neglectful? What is just the right amount? That's a big one.
Wow, I wish
we've all
Wayne
been
Dyer was
mothers.
here.
Wayne Dyer would
Wayne
have
Dyer
a great
would have the answer for that.
All
So
right.
to discuss that, I'd say, I don't know.
Well, and we wouldn't know for sure. You know, we try to, I guess I'm from the oldest school, and I learned from my parents. And when I was growing up, spanking was fairly common. By the time I was parenting, not so much, almost never. I think once or twice in the whole time did that ever come about. So in just from the generation before me, and I don't think that, I guess I don't think it was wrong to do away with spanking in that sense. What do they call that? Corporal punishment. So I think that that's something that we can do without Reasoning can be tough too.
I was just thinking about this last night, heavily weighing on my heart. I was thinking of Wayne Dyer because he said the best gift you can teach your children is to teach them self-reliance. Rely on yourself, do it yourself, accomplish it yourself. And I've kind of served my kids. You get to a certain age where it's like, give me a glass of water, okay, here. And then it's all of a sudden you have to stop and say, get it yourself. But my son is almost 15, and the group of kids he hangs with, they were having a bonfire with adult supervision that was going to be a surprise party for another girl in the group last night. And it came on very suddenly, and I didn't like the feeling of it. And I called the mother, and she's like, no backpacks allowed, I'm going to check them. And I'm like, where do I step in? Do I say no? You absolutely aren't going to 5 acres of land in the country with no bathroom because it's not right? Or do I say, go out, mess up a little, or don't mess up, go out and show me that you won't? How do I know? And I'm so afraid if I'm too strict, he's gonna rebel or be angry or say, you never let me have any fun. And if I'm not strict enough, then I can hear other parents going, no means no. And you should have, if something happened, the whole news would be like, well, what parent lets their kid go out to a field in the middle of the night on a Friday?
The media affects our decisions.
I think the mere fact that you're giving thought to it says that you care, and then that's when I think we have to rely on our gut, because parenting is like forever evolving. Just when you feel like I figured this parenting thing out, your kid gets older, and now something else is new. You're starting from scratch. You don't know, and you have to trust your gut. I think when you lead with love, and I know that may sound corny, but we love our children and we really do lead with love, that's gonna guide us to be able to guide them. But it's how often do we trust the guidance that we get from the love we have to be able to make the decision? Because then we don't want to be the bad guy, whether it's to our kids. And yes, we don't parent based on the neighborhood, but nobody wants to be the bad person in the neighborhood either.
Well, and as mothers, I think it's so hard not to be a control freak, because I've had people say that about me, and I felt that about me. And then I think to myself, I wasn't like this before kids. I had this little baby, 5 pounds, 13 ounces. I had to control her.
You have to control
I had to control how she sat. I had to be the one to say, that's not safe. Get her out of there. Give her back to me. And control every step. And now all of a sudden they want freedom.
You have to let go.
They want, And so, but that trust to your gut thing, I just spoke with Truman, my son, the hockey player, about this. I'm like, what are the 5 senses? Tell me right now, rattle them off. So he rattles them off. And we were arguing about something because he wants all this freedom all of a sudden. And I said, you're missing one. Now what is the 6th sense? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, that's the one that isn't so obvious that we need to tune into today. I said, call it God, call it your gut instinct, call it whatever. But I said, it's that one that's like, I shouldn't, I gotta say no, or I better not do that, or I know my mom is right, and I said, learn to listen to that one. Find it where it talks to you and make that the sense you really hear. While you're driving, when you're in school. Don't you agree, Nadia?
I do.
You've lived with a lot of instinctual gut feelings.
Yeah, I think so. And I remember one time when, and this is way back when my daughter was a young teenager, and she came home and told me this story. She said where her friends had asked her to do something, she knew it was wrong. And she said, but here was her reasoning, and she came back and told me this. She said, I told him no, and I said, well, that is really good. I said, why did you decide not to do that? She said, I told him my dad used to be a cop, and my mom's really smart, and I'm going to cop.
Well, and that gut instinct can also go for things that you want to do, not just naughty things.
Yeah.
So, for instance, the Hockey Moms show, that was a gut feeling. That was like a rope pull that was just going, you're going to regret it if you don't. So it can also be that kind of feeling. Or when I got the guts to go through, and this ties in with your next guest, a divorce. And it was the clinching line, because I knew what my soul needed, and I knew so badly where I needed to go. But I read in one of my many readings of survival, it said, betrayal of oneself is betrayal nonetheless. People always think of betrayal as cheating.
Against another person.
Against another person. if you're betraying this person, that's the worst kind of betrayal. And that was the day I was like, this is it. That's my answer.
That's the best thing
I
you
think
can
it was
teach
in a
your
fortune
kids.
cookie or something. I can't even remember.
Inspiration can come anywhere.
That's the best thing you can
Yeah.
teach your kids. Yeah.
And the more we use that gut instinct, the sharper it comes. So then we're able to catch it sooner. But the less we use it, the weaker it becomes in our life. So it has less of an impact, and we just like brush it off. But the more we use, especially when we're making major decisions, we trust it more. Because now, you know what? The last time I listened, it served me right. You know, and then when we're questioning everything, I think it kind of guides us and we feel at least safe with our answer, we feel comfortable with it. So I think it's the same thing with parenting. You don't know, and when you have more than one child, every child is different.
They're all
so how you discipline child A may be different from child B, and so you have to be able to trust that gut. I know my child, this is what this child needs. And I think if we're really looking at who we are and what we want to bring out of our children, who our children are as individuals, and begin to shape and guide them based on those things, I think we'll feel good about our decisions. We're not going to always get it right, but at least we'll feel good about it. Like, okay, I still did the best I knew.
And I think the culture that each of our families come from would guide us. And what one person, I'm reading the note, says, when is discipline become abusive? When you talk about spanking. So who is the football player that used the switch on a...
Adrian
Yeah.
Peterson.
Adrian, okay. He was raised that way.
Yeah.
That was normal discipline to get your child to obey an adult and respect an adult.
And even in the era where my parents grew up, you know, that was a lot more
Right.
common. So
And the next family would say, are you kidding? Take the kid away, that's child abuse.
Yeah.
So you need to kind of respect where we've come from, and
it falls upon too what the child themselves. I know my dad used to say to me, he said, with your brother I had to do so much more. He said, but you, Nadia, he said, I just had to give you a look.
or the breathe. My mom used to and just the breath, just the sound of her breath, I would just get like, I better not do that. You know, and she never spanked us, but I knew that breath meant Mom was disappointed.
Well, we're out of time, so thank you, Junita, for co-hosting with me today.
Yes.
And Gwen,
Thank you
you're
for
a
having
treat.
me.
Yeah.
Thank
You are
you.
fabulous.
really great. And thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.